Hello friends, it's Kayla. If you haven't watched this video that I just filmed, please go catch up on it first so you can understand what's happening here. I listed in it 10 video concepts that I've had over the years that I canceled for whatever reason. And now this is the follow-up vlog video where I read some of the books. So I thought we would kick it off immediately after filming because I have a lot of books to get through. And while I was filming, I got a notification that my library audiobook hold came in for The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So we're just gonna start here, get right into it. Canceled concept number 6. What do we call this? I did a reaction video to Miss Mojo a while ago about ranking Nicholas Sparks movie adaptations. I thought it was really fun. I have been looking out for any other opportunity to react to videos they've posted. And then one day they posted something that was 10 books you can read in a day. And I wanted to challenge myself to actually read all 10 of those books in one day. I'm just really intrigued to see what this list is. Do I want to read it? Sure. I mean, I would. I already know this video is not going through. Like, I've read all of these books. As I watched the video, I realized that I had already read most of the books. One of the ones that had eluded me over the years is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. People have recommended this to me. I got this illustrated version that looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to flip through it while listening to the audiobook, a kind of tandem experience today. This is written by Douglas Adams, illustrated by Chris Riddle, and I know I should know more about it than I do. I guess we have a main character named Arthur Dent. His house gets demolished, and Arthur's best friend just announced he's an alien. With just a towel, a small yellow fish, and a book, Arthur has to navigate through the very hostile universe in the company of a gang of unreliable aliens. This edition is about 300 pages. The spacing is very large, so let me get 100 pages in and I'll tell you my first impressions. You guys, this is so funny. Now, historically, I've always been a fan of absurd fiction. Usually it leans, you know, surrealism, magical realism, that kind of thing. But I think my reading of like Have Spacesuit Will Travel and Several People Are Typing and How to Survive in a Science Fictional Universe and even All Systems Red like well primed me for hilarious, absurd sci-fi. So it should come as no surprise that I'm having a fantastic time. So we have our main character, Arthur, and he has a friend who is an alien, and his alien friend takes him off of Earth. They're trying to like knock down Arthur's house, and he had no knowledge of it. So like one day people just come to knock down his house and he reasonably freaks out about it. But his friend is like, the world is ending anyway, so let's get out of here. And they go, and we find out that his alien friend is writing slash like editing The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So he's introducing him to all of these aspects of the galaxy, but then a lot of things are changing, and he's like, well, it's because like things change and I have to rewrite it. This section right around page 100 gives you a good idea of the style of it. It introduces The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a wholly remarkable book. It's been compiled and recompiled many times over many years and under many different editorships. It contains contributions from countless numbers of travelers and researchers. The introduction begins like this. Space. It's big. Really big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. They're encountering these different alien-like creatures. They're all very funny. There's this alien that found them on the ship that they hitchhiked onto, and he wanted to kick them off the ship, but at one point we thought maybe he was having a change of heart, and that interaction made me laugh, like audibly laugh. I do not want to finish this in one day, which is so interesting considering where I got this from. This is something I want to take a little more time with because I don't want it to be over. And I think it's fun that I'm reading it right now because normally in April I participate in Dewey's 24-hour readathon. This time it's landing on April 29th, which is a date I have 2 live shows on, so I can't participate, but I usually make it a week-long event for myself and I read a bunch of sci-fi. So it's fun that I feel like I'm kind of participating even though I'm not. It's the next day, it's the end of the day, it's been a long day, and I picked this up and put it down probably 20 times, just trying to find little moments in amongst the day to read like a chapter at a time, and each time I did, it was so pleasant. This is so funny, and it was right up my alley, and I can't believe it took me this many years to read this book, and now I feel in on all of the inside jokes and all the references, and I literally started filming this clip. The house was silent. Everyone was in their corner of the house. And then suddenly, like, it's right outside my door. Everybody I've ever met. know that I could adequately tell you what the plot of this is. But it's got some of my favorite things. We're in space, but it's easy to understand everything. It's funny. And there's like an AI, like computer situation that feels very much like a character is a character, and those parts are probably the funniest. He's being told about the history of the universe, kind of, and they're also trying to figure out the like purpose of the universe, like the meaning of life, but not really. They're trying to figure out what questions to even ask the computer, and the computer just really has a mind of its own. Oh, and I gave it 5 stars. I don't know if that's clear or not. Now we're gonna move on. Tomorrow is gonna be Green Day. The day has come to read a green book and wear green and eat green. This video came from, I was gonna do a readathon where everybody had a color and they read all the books that they could with that color being prominent on the cover. This idea I talked about last spring. Your team pink and all you read are pink books for that week, or you're part of team blue and all you read is blue books. I was going to be team green. I have this entire sheet that I pulled out of last year's bullet journal where I wrote my intent for the vlog, what I was gonna read, what I was gonna eat, because I was also only gonna eat green food and wear green clothes. So what I'm gonna do tonight is I'm gonna pick the book by reading the first chapter of each one, seeing which one I want to read tomorrow, seeing which one feels like the right pick. This one was originally part of the TBR that I had built a year ago. This one was as well, technically. It's a sequel and it's been so long since I read the second book in the series, I don't even know if that's the right pick ever. This is my book club pick for the month, so I have to read it regardless. And this kind of fits into another canceled video where I wanted to read Riley's favorites and or something on her TBR. I do booktuber favorites at the beginning of every year. One booktuber that comes up every year is Riley from Riley Marie. We have really similar reading taste 90% of the time. There's a 10% time that we really don't match up, which is totally fine, but it often turns out that in these booktuber favorites, I end up reading one of those books. The concept itself was based on this video. So she made this video similar to Megan's video where last year she talked about what her 5-star books have in common, explored all of the tropes and themes, and then talked about books on her TBR that also have those themes. And then Riley did her own. The idea was I would take the books that she referenced in hers and just read all of the ones that I hadn't read yet. But what happened is by the end of the video, when I went back and watched it to build the TBR, there was only 2 books in the entire video from the tropes we have in common that I haven't read yet.
Pestilence by Laura Thalassa, that is a post-apocalyptic romance. The Book of the Unnamed Midwife.
So I also have like a follow-up mini concept that is reading the books that she listed that were on her TBR that also fit into the tropes.
Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. Light from Uncommon Stars.
I'm really hoping that this one is the one because I just read the first chapter. I was gonna do something else. I was gonna pick the Riley book next. I read the first chapter of the Book of the Unnamed Midwife and I read the first chapter of Light from Uncommon Stars, and I didn't really like either of them. Like they didn't do something for me right off the bat. One of those was on her TBR, one of them was a favorite. And since Pestilence is the only other favorite I have to choose from, which like, who knows how that might go, this is the last Riley-centric pick. So we're hoping for this one to be the win so it can tick all the boxes and the video is a success. This is me wearing a little bit of green now as preemptive to set me up for success tomorrow. So I've decided to do this as a battle to the death. Or I mean a chapter by chapter ranking battle. We're gonna eliminate one every round. This is round 1. I read the first chapter of each. In this one, Half a Soul, we met this girl. Her name's Dora. She met a fairy in the garden, and apparently her like mother sold her soul, or he was promised her mother's firstborn child's soul, and so he goes to steal her soul, and then she gets saved by a pair of scissors and he ends up taking half her soul. That was the whole first chapter. I am intrigued. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. The writing retreat, we met this woman and she is attending her friend's book launch party. Her friend has become a kind of famous author, and something went down in the group. There was a friendship between three of them. They're still friends, and her best friend is still friends with another girl, but these two don't get along. Something happened that had her at a birthday party like the year before lying in a puddle of blood, and they haven't spoken since, and there's like this rivalry. So that was just the introduction. We have this 30-year-old woman who is keeping a secret from us as the reader, and it's going to be revealed as we go. Like what happened at the party, etc. This one, This Might Hurt, we also had a 30-year-old woman, and she has a secret that she's not telling the reader. And this one feels like it's gonna be more irritating to read. Like I feel like the only question we're gonna get the entire time, because we know that she's going to this cult to save her sister, who's been there for 6 months. They're not allowed contact with anybody else. And then she gets this ominous note saying like, I know what you did to your sister, or you don't want your sister ever find out. And then there was like 3 mentions in 3 pages of her going, my sister can never find out. I'm keeping this secret. What I did was so heinous. She can never find out. And like, I want to find out, but I don't want to read 300 pages just to find out. I feel like I'd give this one a 7 out of 10 and this one a 5 out of 10. Then we had this one, which I didn't even finish the first chapter because I don't remember any of these characters. The writing is so unfamiliar, and I know that about this series. And I've said both times that I read the other 2 books, you get into it so easily, you just get used to this writing style. But I just don't know that I can make my mind do that today. So we have eliminated Raging Star. And now it's on to chapter 2 of all 3 of these. Okay, let's compare chapter 2. This one, we're in a different timeline, and as a child, something horrific just happened to her at the hands of somebody her mother was dating. Didn't like that. So we're already kicking that one out of the competition, though it gives the like thriller suspense vibes for sure that it's intending and is putting me on edge. These two, in this one, there's an upcoming ball, and she meets a couple people in that chapter, and she's having a little bit of banter. She's a quick and sarcastic young woman, and I quite liked it. But I'm equally intrigued by the writing retreat. In that chapter, a lot was packed in because we got our main character's backstory as a writer and how she got introduced to like sci-fi and horror. And then we also got the backstory of the woman who's putting on this writing retreat, who all of the women who were friends in that trio friend group were like obsessed with. So it's chapter 3 of both that is going to make this decision for me. At this point, the pairing doesn't really seem fair, and maybe I should have done pages versus chapters, because I just feel like I'm so much deeper into the story at this point. The 3rd chapter was long, the ball is going on, somebody spilled a drink, she's having all of these conversations with all these people, they're planning like futures of families and who should be with who and who's worthy of who. So I'm 46 pages in and I'm having a nice time, and I feel like this is a good transition rather than going to from something that was so like fun and silly to something intense. Maybe I should continue the fun and silly journey. I'm only 25 pages into this one. That was like a 2-page chapter, and we're still not at the writing retreat. It's still a bunch of setup. So we found out that the one girl in the friend group sent the 2 that are enemies to the writing retreat, or she submitted their short stories and they are both now chosen to go. And I'm pretty sure that's all in the original synopsis. Not only is that in the synopsis, it's in the first paragraph of the synopsis. I'm definitely into it, which is great because it's for my book club. I will still attempt to read this. Well, I'll for sure be reading it this week. Will I be fitting it into this vlog? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go with Half a Soul tomorrow. It's the day of everything green. Normally, I would not film with nothing on my face, but I'm going for a walk this morning. I've been going for a walk after I drop Liam off at school every morning, and getting ready before that seems silly. And I wanted to update you because I think I'm gonna get the audiobook of Half a Soul. I don't know if it's worth it because I can't find it anywhere for free or like included in like a script plan. So I'm still debating it, but I would like to listen to something while I go for my walk, but I don't think I want to listen to Half a Soul to completion. Like I'm really liking the physical reading experience, but I don't want to switch over to another book and like confuse you. This morning I had a green smoothie. I know it looks like I'm adding in a bunch of things that aren't green, but I feel like because I add spinach at the end and it has a green appearance, then it should count. Okay, so I found a sample of the audiobook that actually let me get like an hour into it before it ended. And I also had to listen to a story from Book of Swords because there's a live show coming up for it. I'm trying to read a story a day. So I didn't get too much more into Half a Soul, but we did get introduced. Well, we already know like the two kind of potential suitors for this girl and her cousin. And I've heard that there's fake dating in this book. And I truly can't, like, I don't know if I'm just too stupid, but I can't figure out who she's gonna fake date, if it's the person that I think she's actually gonna end up with, or if it's another guy. Because of the setting and the time period, there's a lot of pressure to find a suitor, and she's gonna end up with somebody she really doesn't want to be with unless she like makes a situation for herself. And I feel like either of these two guys could be that person. One of them, as like a magician, is being encouraged to help her fix her affliction. I wonder how people feel about that. Because in the synopsis, it said like, because she lost half her soul, it means that she like finds herself in all of these scandalous positions. But what it really means is she doesn't like respond to people, I would say, in a neurotypical way. And so she ends up in silly scenarios because she isn't responding the way she's expected to. Like she knows when she's supposed to feel angry or embarrassed or sad, but she doesn't actually feel those things. Anyway, enough sitting here chatting. I just realized that if I want to get caffeine in my body today, for it to be green, I'm gonna have to get matcha.
Keep it waiting. I'll throw it up again.
Hi, can I please get a strawberry oat matcha latte grande? Thanks so much. Amazing. You too. I was just checking Goodreads for some general reviews, and the author wrote one herself. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's under spoiler warnings, and now I really want to read this book fast so I can read all of the like history and stuff that she's put in here. But she said, Theodora's half a soul is indeed a metaphor for neurodivergence. She shares many of my own neurodivergent qualities. So there you go. I haven't tried my matcha yet. I'm just getting ready. I'm in my official green look of the day. Technically my third green look of the day if you count my frog and toad sweater from this morning, which I'm pretty obsessed with. I just found it on Etsy, and there's like an adaptation coming soon of this. It's just an iconic queer classic, you know? I'm sure the adaptation, much like the book though, will have them remain like just friends, but we all know. All right, let's give this a go. I feel like it matches me pretty well, which is all that matters. Okay, the strawberries definitely help. The last time I tried matcha, I like actively disliked it. This is tolerable, but it's still only like a third of the caffeine that my normal drink is. So I might have to find a way to dye an espresso shot later. I don't know. Isn't it something like every 7 years your taste buds change? Maybe my matcha taste buds have arrived. It's lunchtime. I've gotten halfway into my book. I realize I don't have a green bookmark, which is pretty devastating. But I do have this pink one that says Pride and Prejudice, which definitely fits. It's giving Pride and Prejudice vibes. And also this book I read last year, the year before, called The Midnight Bargain. Definitely some similarities. I think that was like one of my first reads that had to do with spirits and fairies. Though this definitely doesn't feel like it's a fairy book. I don't want to get too into it and ruin any of the plot points, but I'm gonna make lunch. I've got a green plate and I'm gonna make a green lunch. I haven't made this in so long, but it's like a chickpea mash with vegetables on top. So like asparagus and broccolini and peas. But I have to make my hummus green. So like I've never added avocado to a hummus, but I know it's a thing. So it's probably good. And I believe I have perfectly ripe avocados. So let's check. Moment of truth. Pretty good. If you were around like a year ago, maybe even less, I don't know. There was a video where I talked about storing avocados in water and how I learned it as a TikTok hack. And I just want to update anybody who has been doing that. Don't do it. I also learned from TikTok and the comments of that video that there's some kind of like bacteria or from the water or something can interact with the avocado that can make it like not good to store in water. So don't do it. Oh, my other green thing I've been snacking on are Harvest Snacks. if you've never had these before. Incredible. So again, I don't want to spoil the plot, but basically we have this love interest named Elias, and Dora is learning about him. He has some magic. He works in the medical field. And there's this plague affecting certain groups of people, and he's going in and he's taking Dora along with him in these like factories, people being exploited. There's lots of conversations around that. And so that's what's currently going on in the storyline. They've had a couple moments together, romantic, like longing gazes, but they're pretending that they're not really romantically suitable, which is just my vibe. I think I love this book. I really think this is just the book for me. I don't want to call it cozy fantasy. It fits more into fantasy romance. There are like heavy topics, but also the romance is not the only plot line. And I don't think it's gonna get like feeling like epically romantic or get steamy in any way. So that's what makes it feel like soft and cozy. But my God, like their relationship, I'm just sitting here smiling every time they encounter each other. There are some magical things going on and they've been separated and they're trying to come back together. And it's just, I love it. I've only got a couple chapters to go and I just hope it stays perfect. It was perfect. It was perfect. This was perfect. I found out on the Goodreads as I was browsing it that it's a series. And so as I was approaching the end, I was like, okay, so I have to be okay not being satisfied because I'm gonna have to read more, but I can't wait to read more of these characters. And then I found out based on the ending, and oh my God, everything wrapped up, that the rest of the things in the series are like other couples. There is a little novella, I think, that maybe wraps up a couple plot points that aren't fully realized in here, but oh, it really did have that cozy atmosphere, as in everything happened a little too easily and quickly. So many things got solved rather fast. I don't know that this will be for everyone, but I really think that Riley, if she hasn't read it yet, will like this. I think this is her brand. And so I weirdly feel like I've read a Riley favorite, even though she hasn't read it. Maybe that's just to make me feel better about the DNFs that I've had. My mom is still not done Pestilence, so I can't give that a try yet, but I'm gonna have only the green M&Ms for dessert, even though I didn't eat dinner. I don't know, I just feel kind of funny about this one because I don't think they are the most objectively swoon-worthy couple. I don't think they are these characters that, you know, will go down in literary history as being just like everyone's OTP or like people's book boyfriend. But I love them. I loved them so much. My critique is that it happened too fast and I wanted 100 more pages of their pining. I can't believe I got another 5-star though. This feels like a moment. I'm gonna live on this high for the rest of the night and I'll see you tomorrow. The green day may be over, but I'm reading another green book today. I'm actually halfway through, as you can see by my tabs, and I am obsessed with the writing retreat. I just wanted to get into this because I was a couple chapters in and I couldn't stop. And now we have to head out for baseball, like a whole day of baseball. I tried to wear purple because Liam's team is purple, but I don't think it actually is reading as purple. Anyway, here's the thing. I'm loving this. Like right now, I would like to stop reading it and just give it 5 stars because I think the setup is so good and I'm worried where it's gonna go because I know a lot of people, this is like a pretty divisive one. I've seen 5 stars and 1 stars and not a lot of in between. My mom gave it 5 stars. My mom ordered it from Book of the Month, gave it 5. Well, she doesn't rate books, but she said she loved it and had a great time. And the thing is, halfway through, the mystery hasn't even been presented. I just love the setup of all of these characters. So we have the woman who's putting on the retreat and all of these flashbacks you get very well set up her as a person. The things that she cares about, the things that she's willing to do for the drama. I feel like there's a lot of foreshadowing in that way. And then each of the women, when they arrive, they get given a gift. And I feel like each of their gifts kind of imply something that's going to happen to them later, or each of the things represent them in a certain way. And I'm just having such a good time predicting like what's going to happen. This isn't necessarily a gothic book, but I guess it does feel gothic. And I've always said my favorite thing about gothic tales about manners is the setup, like the arrival, the getting there, the first impressions, the actual travel itself. And that was so much of the story, like going into each of the bedrooms and getting a feel for each of the women. And then it turns out that the manor might be haunted. And each of the women has to write a novel in the month that they're there together. And they have to critique each other's novels. And it's just creating this competitive vibe that I love so much. I just love the writing of this. And the fact that there's been nothing thrilling or mysterious happen yet. It could really be like my favorite thriller of the year, or it could flop. Like, you never know. But now I have to take a 6-hour pause from it before we come back home and I can finish it. Because I want to tab and take such detailed notes, like I could read a little bit while we're out, but I don't want to bring all of my stuff with me. So maybe I'll bring another book with me and read in the off time. I don't really know, but I'll see you in a second. It is absolutely pouring out today, so we're just gonna hang out inside, which means lots of reading's gonna get done. And maybe some cleaning, but mostly reading. The rain held off yesterday, which was really nice for baseball. Liam's team actually won, which was a bit of a surprise. I think it was like 14-11 by the end, and he didn't get on the team with a bunch of his like hockey friends. A bunch of his old teammates ended up on a team together, and they had to fight. They had to compete against them yesterday, and they were all like, you're gonna lose, we're incredible. And then Liam's team won. He doesn't know a lot of kids on his team, but he's like making new friends, which is always fun, especially because this summer I usually put him in a bunch of camps and he's too old officially to be in any of those camps, which is how he makes a lot of friends this time of year. But instead he's on a team with a bunch of new kids, so that's fun. And he got a run in. Nice. Yeah. He almost got a second run in, but he got out like literally as he slid into home. So that's the update. I know a lot of people, you don't care, but a couple of you said that you want updates on what he's up to and his sports. So here's where I'm at. I am still halfway through the writing retreat. I didn't pick up any more, but I'm also halfway through A Darker Shade of Magic. Video concept number 3, books I said I'd never read. I will never read A Darker Shade of Magic or Red Queen or what's the other one? Throne of Glass. I own A Darker Shade of Magic. So I'm thinking I'm gonna finish both of these today, and I don't know which one. Like I just read this and I think I want to go back to this and then read this, which is so unlike me. But the only thing I ever knew about A Darker Shade of Magic is there were 4 Londons. Like that's all I know, is there's like these worlds and they are the same place but in different like universes. So there's Grey London and Red London. There used to be Black London. There's magic in some, there's not magic in some. It's Grey London, I think, is the one that's like the most like just realistic, like actually represents current day London. Here's the thing, like I'm having a weird reading experience with this one. First of all, I'm loving it. Like I'm having a great time. However, it feels like a movie, and that I'm not going to be able to pinpoint certain things or have a clear understanding or even know what I'm supposed to have a clear understanding of until the end. Because like, I don't really know what this is about. I don't really know the point. And I normally in a book like this would be jotting down all of the characters, creating a character map, writing down all of the worlds, because there was a whole chapter where Kel is describing the different Londons, the difference between them. And I don't remember any of it. And I'm just relying on V.E. Schwab to tell me what's important, like when it's important, like what happened in each world, who like the royalty and what Kel's role is and how people perceive him in the different Londons. Like I don't fully get it because I'm not taking notes and not trying to like fully understand each one as an individual concept, because the book doesn't make me feel like I need to. I'm just along for the ride as if I'm watching a movie. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. We have a character I love named Lila, and she is very fun to follow. She has some like unexpected quirks about her. Kel is constantly like caught off guard by her personality. She just kind of inserts herself into Kel's life. And even though she has no understanding of magic, when she finds out there is magic, she's just like totally gung-ho and she's like, show it to me, take me here, like I'm along for the ride. And that's really fun. I do think I'm gonna switch over to the writing retreat now because I'm itching to get to the actual mystery. A lot of times in a mystery book, somebody is dead right from the beginning and the whole book is solving the crime. Once this video goes up, it's only going to be 2 or 3 days until the live show. So everything will be discussed and spoiled fully there. I have now made it 2/3 of the way in. And I really need to put my bookshelf back together since I took this green photo. Since I can't document the plot so much, I thought I would at least document my rating. So right now, 200 of 300 pages in, it's still a 5-star. We have been introduced to the mystery, and the mystery is interesting. It's not exactly what I was expecting. And the book itself, the vibe is not exactly what I was expecting. I'm pleasantly surprised by it, but glancing at the Goodreads for the book club, some people are not completely on board. I'm interested to document if my rating changes because I've heard the ending is absolutely unhinged. I'll check in with you in 50 more pages and let you know what my rating's at. 50 pages from the end. I'm at a tentative 5. The last 50 pages were absolutely ridiculous. We got most of the answers, and now there's 50 pages to wrap everything up. And I think it could lose me a little bit. We've gotten a bit monologue-y. And while I do like an over-the-top thriller, it's getting a little bit cheesy. So we'll see. It's gonna be a 4 or a 5 by the end. I'm so conflicted, not about my rating. I know my rating, but I'm conflicted about telling you my rating. I feel ever since the debacle within My Dreams I Hold the Knife, I am so hesitant to say my 5-star thrillers out loud because like I like a lot of stupid thrillers. And as someone who's been known to read a lot of mystery and thrillers in the past, since I don't give out a lot of 5 stars, people will like take my 5 stars as if they are, or as if I think they are fantastic literature. And then people read this and they're like, that was like 2 stars. What are you talking about? Trash opinion. And it's even evident within my own book club. Like I called this a 4.5. It was hard for me to admit that it was a 5 because it's so stupid. But I'm gonna call it a 5. Okay, I'm gonna call it a 5. You can argue with me. At some points it felt like a Pretty Little Liars episode where you're just like, this is what we're doing? But I loved it, whatever. This might go down in history as my like most successful reading vlog. I guess there has only been 3 books so far. What do you say we keep these good vibes going? You know, I had to break the 5-star streak eventually. Couldn't have predicted it would be V.E. Schwab to do it, but before you freak out, it's a 4, it's a 3.75. I want to read the next series. I don't know how to feel about these covers and the recovering of this because this is so beautiful. But the concept of all of these Londons and the way that the magic works is so interesting. And I think I want to read the trilogy just so I can read this trilogy because like 8 years after the first book, you have to imagine her writing has progressed in a certain way. Maybe she has imagined all the ways that she could develop this idea more. So basically Kel is traveling between these different Londons, alternate universes, I don't know. And he has a bunch of things that he is accomplishing. He's like building connections with different political, like royal situations. He is smuggling things. He's sending messages back and forth. There's various things to be accomplished throughout the book. But I was surprised by how short this is, and I'm wondering like why it would take place over such a small time period unless every other book is also like a day long. I don't know why this one would be. And it makes some of the character like development and choices just a little bit confusing to me. I think there is such an interesting backstory here. His family, there is definitely an arc to follow, but it didn't feel like a complete novel to me. And obviously, yeah, it's the first book in a series, so there is more to learn. I just feel like things were just starting to get rolling and then it ended. And I needed to be a little more satisfying, but that's not really a fair thing to say because it did follow a typical convention. Like we had somebody in peril, we had some serious decisions to make, and then we got a resolution to that situation. I think I like what she's doing with this world, and I think I like what she's doing with these characters. So we're gonna give it a 4. Yeah, we're gonna give it a 4. Okay, before we continue, we need to do a quick assessment. So in the video, I talked about 10 canceled videos. My goal for the reading vlog was to read books from the TBRs of 5 of those original videos. I have now completed the one where I wanted to read 10 books in one day, picking from the list of 10 books you can read in a day. I have read 2 books for the rainbow readathon because I was team green. In this one, I feel like I'm counting for the Riley pick as well. So that's 3 videos. Then a video concept was, what was this one? Oh yeah, reading books I said I'd never read. Obviously, 8 years ago, I had a different perspective. on the world. So I completed this and I only have one to go. An easy one to complete is the one where Instagram was going to control my TBR. I keep coming up with these ideas and then I just don't follow through with them because I think the TBR just gets too big. It's not organized enough for me. I think I lose the concept immediately because I'm like, what am I actually accomplishing here? Am I trying to prove if I like black coffee, I'm gonna like this book? In the video that I just posted, I went through some of the posts that I have saved and I ended up with a lot of options by the end. I could read Faking with Benefits. At this point, I've also posted the video, so suggestions and ideas and thoughts have come in. Faking with Benefits, I have been told I'm not gonna like. The Family Game is still an option. I was excited about Jana or Hana Goes Wild, but that's actually not out until May. I could pick anything from Abby's reading taste because we matched up, but the one that grabbed my attention in the moment was the blind date with a book, and you click a concept that sounds interesting, and I already had the book on my TBR. So this is what I'm reading because I'm already a third of the way in and I'm feeling 5-star energy. I'm not gonna lie, I don't wanna get ahead of myself. This is just my type of writing. So we have a main character and obviously this story is called Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. So he kicks off the story direct to reader, very much like, I'm not an unreliable narrator. I'm going to tell you everything that happened. Like, this isn't even necessarily a mystery book because I'm also going to tell you in which chapter somebody dies. And then the book is broken up into his family members. So it goes my brother, and then it describes a death, and then goes to my stepsister. I don't think this writing style is going to be for everyone, but like chapter 2 opens with, we'll get to my story. I have to tell you about some others first, but I wish I'd killed whoever decided our family reunion should be at a ski resort. He's going through every single member of his family. They're all very distinct. And if we read the synopsis, it basically talks about Ernie, and his brother has been released from prison. So we know that a death probably occurred there. But we find out there's more to the story of his brother going to prison and things that occurred and their like tense relationship now and this just family reunion. It's very fun. It's super fast paced. I feel like I'm gonna run through this in just a couple hours, which means I have more time to pick up another book. So I think I will hit a 6th book and a 6th video because I might as well listen to an audiobook later today when I'm going to Liam's baseball practice. I'm not going to tell you what I've selected yet, but there was one comment that came in that suggested a Bonnie Turpin narrated audiobook. So I'm going to pick it up. Okay, I'm nearing the end of this and I feel like it shouldn't be wrapping up. Like, I feel like I'm just getting to know these characters and their dynamics and I just love everything that's going on. So the fact that there's only like 70 pages to go is kind of devastating. I want to be tabbing it, but I want to give this to my mom. I don't know if she'll like it, but we've just been buddy reading like nuts lately and I want to see what she thinks of this. And I don't want to spoil anything with my highlighting and my tabs, so I've chilled on that. But I'm absolutely going to reread this someday. I just found out it's a series. I had no idea, which completely makes sense with like how low plot it's kind of been. It's not that there's no mystery, like there is a death. There is a death that happens at the reunion. It's in the synopsis, but that doesn't feel like the main important piece of the book to me. It's more reflective. It's a lot of looking back on scenarios. And it has been really surprising at times. So there is an active mystery for you to solve, which is great. Like, it's a murder mystery turned on its head, as Libro FM promised, but it's a lot of reflecting on stuff. And he will do these chapters where he's like, okay, maybe you're an astute reader and you don't need this recap, but I'm gonna tell you everything that just happened. And like, that's so my thing. Speaking of my mom, perfect timing. She finished Pestilence. She just dropped it off with a bunch of new bookmarks. If you don't know, we have a book charm shop and there are some beautiful ones today. There's a whole collection of emeralds for the month of May. So if you're a May birthday, there's some stuff just for you. But if not, look at some of the beautiful gems that are coming. The shop will be stocked soon. She didn't give me a number. She doesn't rate books like that, but she said, no, she does not want me to order her the rest of the series. And she said her main thing is she doesn't understand character motivations. Which, is that something that I ever care about in books? I don't know. Do I even know the plot of this? Not so much. So I'm actually gonna finish this up. I don't know that I can bring this to the baseball field with me. That might be a little bit weird, but I am gonna give this a go. Like, I wanna try it out. The comments are telling me I'm gonna hate this. And I go back and forth between like, really wanting to be understood and loving that people can give me accurate recommendations. But then there also is always a part of me that's like, why don't you think I'll like it? I can like it. You don't know me, but we'll see. We will see. Oh my God. I'm so conflicted. I'm so conflicted. I can't think of the last time that this has happened to me. Wow. I was having such a good time, and one of the many reveals is one of my least favorites. Did I see it coming? No. So that's a pro for the book. Does it check out? Like, does it make sense? Do I have to be okay with it because it works with the plot and maybe I should have seen it coming? Yeah. I still want to give it 5 stars. This is such a weird feeling to be having. I think I'm still giving it 5 stars. I need to read the series. I need to continue on. Once we hit like that 80% mark, it was just like, how is it gonna wrap up? Like, I was just getting into it and then it was over. So I didn't think I was going to continue in the series because I didn't even know it was a series until today. Also found out it's going to be a TV series. Also realized I didn't say the title out loud. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I recently marathoned Taskmaster Australia, and it is my new favorite like obsession. I can't believe I have to wait for another season to come out for months. And I think that maybe because I've been doing that, I casted like Tom Cashman as the main character. Like, maybe that's what made it great. The characters were just so vivid, and this is just my style. Like, this is exactly my perfect type of book. It is sarcastic, it's pretentious, it's snarky. I had such a good time. And then it was just over. And the things we found out about this family, it just ended so fast. Here's the good news. This is good news. It's a 5 star. Like, I can't not be a 5 star. I am a little glad I didn't end up picking this for a book club pick. Not that it was at the top of my list as a potential one, but it has been on my radar, and I'm glad that I didn't because I don't think there's enough to converse about. Like I said, it's more reflective. And though I had a great time, I know the style wouldn't be for everyone. So the good news is now I'm at the library and I have decided on the book. Well, here's the thing. I'm at the library, but I'm doing an audiobook. So somebody mentioned Pew as something that Bonnie Turpin has narrated. And I do want something short to listen to. Listening to audiobooks by my favorite narrators to try to find new favorite books. This concept totally checks out and makes sense. I would complete it if not for the time it would take for me to complete it, because I don't listen to a ton of audiobooks. I definitely wouldn't find myself listening to like 5 audiobooks in a week, which is how long I would probably want to dedicate to a video. The idea would be look up Bonnie Turpin and see what she has narrated. I've seen this around. I've heard it's short and weird. Had no idea Bonnie Turpin narrated it until I saw it as one of the options. And that is the one that somebody mentioned in the comments. So I just checked and it's at the library because I would like to have a physical copy, for just to hold and to have in the stack and to have in the video. Let's go see how much I can grab out in my hands at the library. I'll get everything I can get my hands on.
If you ever need to, and I hope you never need to, but a person cannot be sure. If you ever need to sleep, if you are ever so tired that you feel nothing but the animal weight of your bones, and you're walking along a dark road with no one, and you're not sure how long you've been walking, and you keep looking down at your hands and not recognizing them, and you keep catching a reflection in darkened windows and not recognizing that reflection, and all you know is the desire to sleep, and all you have is no place to sleep, one thing you can do is look for a church. What I know about churches is that they usually have many doors, and often at least one of those doors late at night has been left unlocked. The reason churches have so many doors is that people tend to enter and leave churches in groups, in a hurry. It seems people have a lot of reasons for entering a church and perhaps even more reasons for leaving one. But the only reason I've gone to a church was to sleep. The reasons I've left a church were to avoid being caught sleeping or because I'd already been caught sleeping and was being asked to leave.
It is indeed very small and very weird. I listened to the audiobook for a little bit while I was browsing. I only left with this one, so be proud of me, but I looked for a while and I'm already an entire day into the story, or 2 days, sorry. It took me a good chapter in before realizing why it's called pew. I was thinking pew, pew pew, like a gun. It's pew like at a church. Hello? Those geese were so loud. So this person who is our narrator wakes up in a pew, and the church takes them in. But we as the reader and none of the characters know if this person who they've named Pew is a woman, a man, a child. They don't know what race they are. Like, they just have all of these questions, and Pew will not answer any of them. Pew does not speak. Pew is just witnessing everything around them and is going to live with this family. And this family's like, we're going to take care of you. Just tell us what you need. You know, God tells us we have to take care of everyone. So just tell us, or like, are you a girl or a boy? Like, who are you? What are you? Where did you come from? And Pew, like, literally just won't say a word. And like, everyone that they're encountering is telling them stories. So it's like they go hang out with this family, and somebody in the family is like, well, they're not going to talk to me, so I'll just tell them like something about myself, you know, make them comfortable, share something, whatever. And we're just getting all of these weird little moments of not even like the characters' lives that we're meeting, but like other people that they know. They'll be like, here, let me tell you a story about my grandpa. Their dialogue is in italics, and I don't know the point. It is very strange. A stranger comes to town and takes us with them into their estrangement among the denizens of a conservative religious community. The people of the community are stifling and generous, cruel, earnest, needy, overconfident, fragile, and repressive, which is to say that they are brilliantly rendered by their wise maker, Catherine Lacey. That was just a little blurb on the back because I apparently am not going to read the entire synopsis. Isn't this so interesting? It's like cloth bound. It is beautiful. Risky though. I'm not going to think of what that stain is. I do think it's my kind of weirdness, and I think it's going to be the same weirdness throughout. It's not going to be some like reveal where we finally understand anything. It's just going to be odd throughout. Kind of like Death in Her Hands by Tessa Moshfegh. What else? That short story, just a little bit odd and unsettling, but nothing weird really happening within the plot. I'm going to keep listening to the audiobook. I'm going to go pick up Liam and some other baseball kids that I'm driving home, and then I'll probably be done it. Honestly, once I get home, the audiobook is only like 5 hours long, and I'm listening to it on 2 times. This was actually such an interesting choice. Not just because I love Bonnie Turpin, and so it was nice reading a book narrated by her because I'm familiar with her. It was more interesting in this context because we don't know anything about the main character. It's all completely ambiguous. So Bonnie Turpin being someone that I'm familiar with and knowing all of the characters that she's narrated before, it was like I was imagining all of them, the whole variety of them, voicing this character. I really don't know who I would recommend this to, but I'm gonna give it a 4. Do I think Bonnie Turpin contributed to that? I want to say no because the story is the story regardless, but she did make it good. Essentially, this character is just a witness to what's going on in this community. It's building to an event. It feels kind of midsummer vibes, but definitely doesn't have as strong of a plot. They're a witness to the goings on of this community, but they're also very much a participant and the reason why a lot of conversations are coming up. And their presence in general is why a lot of tensions are mounting within the plot. Pew may not have a very strong sense of self at any point in the story, but what they do have is a sense of, like, I want to say independence or just personal strength and conviction. They know what they're not going to allow people to do to them. They're not going to belong to anybody. It's an interesting book. It leaves a lot up to the reader's imagination, which is fun. We had another win. I feel like I know when to call it, and that is now. So tonight I'm gonna watch Before Sunset or Before Sunrise or whatever it is with Rob. Video idea number 1 is reading like my character match. So I love to do quizzes, I love to do surveys. You fill this out and by the end of it, you get a list of characters who you are most like. My top results were George and Michael from Arrested Development, which I've never seen, Velma from Scooby-Doo, and this woman named, I think it was Celeste from After Sunset, Before Sunset. In an alternate universe, I make this into an entire series. Each character gets their own episode and I read all of the things. I was already planning on watching it, but the comments are really like surprised, and I'm surprised that you're surprised that I haven't seen it or heard of it, because like I've never been a romance girly. I literally looked up a list of like popular 90s romance movies. I haven't seen any of them. Notting Hill, Jerry Maguire, The Bridges of Madison County, Mississippi Masala, One Fine Day, You've Got Mail, Sleepless in Seattle, Poetic Justice, My Best Friend's Wedding, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Like if I haven't seen Pride and Prejudice, in what world would I have seen Before Sunrise? Like I didn't even watch The Notebook until it was already 10 years old. I didn't watch Pretty Woman until my members forced me to last year. So whatever this situation is, I'm watching it for the quiz that I took that assigned me a character. And the video concept was reading the favorite books of characters who I've been assigned. But yeah, I'm not gonna be reading the book that the woman is reading in the movie, but I will watch it and we'll see. I'm gonna force my husband to do that. So either tomorrow I'll come at you with a movie review, or my intro to Pestilence is going well and I'll review that. But if I don't mention this tomorrow, just know that it didn't go well. The moment of truth. What am I about to talk to you about? Okay, hear me out, hear me out. If I agree to not rate this when I'm done, can I read it? Can I finish it? Because this is so very stupid, but I have decided to put myself in the mind of someone who can enjoy it, and therefore I am. I'm a quarter of the way in, and I just can't believe I made my mom read this. Like, this is what she's been reading the last week. I'm so embarrassed. So the book opens set where I live in British Columbia, and there is this plague sweeping the world. Started at the bottom of North America. It's traveled up. We have a main character, Sarah, who for some reason, with her tiny crew of firefighter comrades, pulled straws of who had to stay behind and try to kill Pestilence, the plague that they had never seen, didn't know what he looked like, didn't know what he even was. He was just this creature entity who they knew was coming through town at some point. She drew the straw, so she had to stay. She's by herself. And she tries to kill him in the same way you would try to kill like an actual human being. And she thought it would work, which is just very interesting. Okay, and then from there, he has held her captive and tortured her. But that hasn't stopped her from lusting over him, even though, sideline, there are a couple ways this book could be good, okay? If he had any element of his personality be something that she is drawn to, but it's only that he's hot. It's not like, oh, he's one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. He's bringing the end of the world. He is killing all of these people, but secretly he has a heart of gold. There's something he's not telling me, so I find him attractive. No, it's like he's doing all of these terrible things, but she thinks he's sexy. Now, the way this book could be good is, which I'm assuming is going to happen, she is going to find out later that he is good. That like, he is doing positive things, like that could make it better. But it still doesn't fix the fact that she's currently attracted to him. Okay, what else could make it good is if somehow she's being compelled by him and we find out later that he is like doing something, whether he's aware of it or not, that is making her attracted to him. What could have made it really good is if she was just like a villainous character and they decided to partner up, like a god and a human, and she wants to bring the end of the world too, and they just like did that together. But now she's just this quirky girl who says things while he's torturing her like, I should probably stop thinking about hate fucking him. And then I had to read a scene of her like peeing in front of him, and she like needed a bath and he's helping her bathe, and she's like, I wasn't getting the sexy time vibes. And then at one point, I highlighted it, she exclaimed, holy shitballs. And this is just camp. And I want to see where it goes, okay? I want to see where it goes. I'm not going to rate it at the end because the whole point is like, I needed to get a book of Riley's, a favorite of Riley's as a favorite of mine. This isn't like, obviously this isn't gonna be that, but also for this to be the only book of the entire video that's rated lowly, and it's gonna be around, like, we've been here before. The point was to get away from this scenario. It's not a hate read. It's just like, I'm acknowledging the place that this book is, and I'm just going there with it. As far as the movie, it's not my type of movie, but Rob and I only skimmed through maybe like half an hour of the 2-hour experience. It's really just two people walking around talking to each other, and the one thing that we were waiting for is for them to attend this play, and then they never went to the play, and it was really frustrating. I do see how you could say I'm like the main character at its very like basic, that we're both humans and have critiques about the world and like books, but other than that I don't really see it. We made it, we survived it. Pestilence. What do I have to say? Oh my god, what do I have to say about this? On one hand, it's like Miss Laura Thalassa really just decided like, this is, I'm not gonna try to redeem him, like we're just charging forward. I'm not gonna give any explanation to so many things or any reasoning behind why any of this works. What I'll also say is I can't stare at this man. There's something admittedly charming about the idea of a main character who is unaware of humanity and humans and like what humans need. And I think this is something that Riley needs to put on her organization of categories, is like somebody introducing a creature to the world and like them bumbling along trying to understand human beings. Like I'm thinking Slewfoot. This also has that quality. Pestilence has to learn that humans have to drink water and they can't just chug a bottle of Worcestershire sauce. So Sarah introduces him to that, introduces him to the idea of empathy, introduces him to sex, and then in those moments he says things like, you have awoken my heart, and while he's like literally inside her goes, I'm a part of you now. Like many young couples doomed from the start, their relationship spoilers at the end kicks off with him being unemployed and engaged. So their future looks bright. This is just so unserious. Like they're in the middle of the literal apocalypse and she tells the person responsible for the literal apocalypse, you're cruising for a bruising. What I will say I often get from Riley's favorites, I'm sure this isn't true about every single book, but there's often like a strong female lead character. She very much knows what she wants and she's not going to go back on it. No matter how many horrific things this man does, she's like, he is mine and I want him.
Pestilence, literally murdering innocent children. Sarah.
Look at the screen.
That's mine. I'm gonna stick beside him.
And honestly, I love it. A woman who knows what she wants. And she is the one introducing him to all of these things. And she takes the lead. And regardless of how I personally feel about the choices that these women are making, I can at least expect that from like a lot of Riley's favorites, is this woman who is gonna do what she needs to do regardless, has an opinion, has a gut feeling, and is gonna go forth with it. I am a little bit bummed. I just couldn't get into the writing of the Book of the Unnamed Midwife. This feels like one of those books that if I read it, I would reflect on it as a positive experience. Like I feel like I will give this a high rating. It just isn't interesting in this exact moment. Like this isn't what I wanted to be picking up, but I'm gonna hold on to it. I think I will one day, and I'm sure I'll like it. And I don't know what happened with Light from Uncommon Stars. I might need to wait for her to read it, and then will I know at that point if I should? You know, nothing is clear at this point, except that I watched an episode, actually multiple episodes of Arrested Development. It's not my vibe, and I do not understand why I would be assigned George Michael as someone similar to me. I honestly, like, I can't even mentally go there right now and what we might have in common, because it could send me spiraling. Here's everything that I read this week. 7 things. Most of them went well. If you have been watching and you didn't just jump to the end, because why would you do that? I had 4 5 stars and also a couple 4s and whatever that is. Anyway, thank you very much for watching another canceled videos reading vlog. I'm sure I'll do another one sometime soon. Too many ideas, not all of them good. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye.